When I got sick and I got this shock brain tumour diagnosis, I had this belief that my value in the world was like irrevocably damaged. I really tried to hold on to the view of myself as an able-bodied, healthy person. But I remember my friend said, this will be the making of you.
Wow.
And she said, you don't know it, but
Oh.
there's so much good that's going to come out of this.
You joined us back in April 2021.
Yeah.
People wouldn't know this, but when we recorded last time, we filmed and you didn't want the images to go up.
I think when you have that disordered eating and sense of body dysmorphia, your memory can be ruined by information that comes later about how you looked while that was happening.
Yeah.
Like I could go to a party and have a really great time and then see photos of it, and all my memories of that night were then terrible.
What would you tell your last episode self?
Probably to hold on.
The Imperfects invites you into a very safe place. A place where we share without judgment and drink heaps of vulnerability. Grab yourself a cup. This is the Vulnerability House.
I've always thought over the years it would be good for us to do, like, you know, like the concept of a Where Are They Now
Oh, yeah.
sort of episode. You know how they do those things, like you can see them on like the internet. It's like, where are they now? Like, and I thought, well, that would be good. But I feel like today it's sort of a bit of a where are they now?
And it's one...
Not in a negative way, not in a like, whatever happened to that guy, but more like, where are, like,
You won't believe what happened to...
I'm glad you clarified that.
Yeah, no.
Thrilled she's not dead.
No, not that. More like, oh, I wonder, like, because we've spoken to Jamila before, it's like, it's sort of like a check-in. We haven't really done that before.
Well, I think it's a check-in that people ask for a lot as well. I have a lot of people asking me how you are.
Oh, that's nice.
Jamila Rizvi, welcome, by the way.
Oh, thanks for having me.
It's lovely to have you. But so you joined us back in, I'm going to get straight into it here. So you joined us in April 2021.
Yeah.
And back then you were still going through radiation. At the time, you said you wanted to be proud of the person you were becoming, the person post a brain tumour, but you weren't there yet. And so I don't know where today's conversation is going to lead. I hope it answers that question. But I wanted to just start with that because that's why I have so many people who reference your episode and do want to hear from you. So I'm so happy that we have you back here today.
Oh, thank you. I remember one of the reasons when you asked me to come and chat, one of the reasons I wanted to do it back then, partly we were locked down. I wanted permission to leave the house. But also all the narratives I'd heard of people who were sick were either sort of devastating and sad because the person had passed away, or they were triumphant at the end. And I found it hard that I couldn't really find stories of people who were in the middle and hadn't figured it out yet.
Well, it was a beautiful episode. We all listened to it just in preparation for today, and it was amazing to see. Just like in my head, I always think about our early interviews because we hadn't been doing it for a long time. It probably wasn't great. It was the most incredible chat. You were amazing, especially when you reflect and think about the fact that you were going through a lot at the time. You were incredible.
Oh, thanks. I will admit I didn't go back. I can't listen to myself previously. It really makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I just feel it's so cringy. I can't do it. But my main memory of that was that you weren't there, Ryan.
No.
And Josh was, but you weren't really doing the interviewing.
No,
Hugh was. And then you asked these questions at the end, and I was like, with all respect to Hugh, I was like, what? That is such a clever question.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Because I do some interviewing. I was like, what? Why are you over there doing the sounds? Why aren't you sitting down asking questions? They were so insightful.
We fixed that pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think I need to thank you because I think your reactions to the questions might have been the reason I got a bit more airtime on the show. So thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, back then that was because for those who are newer to the podcast back then, the way that we did it was that Hugh would interview the guest and then I would join Hugh before and after as like a intro and outro.
Just in case people are wondering, it wasn't because I demanded to be the only person in here.
No.
Ryan you didn't feel like you were qualified to have these conversations.
No,
You
I didn't.
feel-
I was like, no, it's not my thing. Yeah.
And it was going to be us. And then as a last minute thing, we realised we needed someone to take care of the tech stuff. And then Josh did that. And then it didn't take long. He'd ask great questions like, this is ridiculous. You should be in here as well. So
The dynamic between the three of you is so great. I think you've nailed it.
Well,
Thanks.
we think you're so great. So for those of you who didn't hear Jamila's episode last time, in that episode, Jamila discussed the cataclysmic aftermath of her brain tumour. From diagnosis, what it felt like to tell her son, to surgery, radiation, and the chronic illnesses and disabilities that would become her new normal. Jamila was so incredibly vulnerable about the trajectory of her mental health, the unforeseen challenges of life post-brain tumour, her debilitating fear of dying, and her grief for the life she thought she was going to have.
Yeah. I mean, that episode we'll obviously link to in the show notes, but yeah.
Jamila is a best-selling author, sought-after keynote speaker, and gender equality advocate. She is the Deputy Managing Director for Future Women, an organisation which aims to improve women's economic security and overall equity in Australian workplaces, and has been included in the Australian Financial Review's 100 Women of Influence. Jamila is a popular podcaster, was previously Editor-in-Chief for Mamamia, and has advised the Rudd and Gillard governments on gender, early childhood education, media and employment. Jamila, alongside friend Rosie Waterland, has most recently published Broken Brains for Anyone Who's Sick or Loves Someone Who Was, which is available now. Just a quick story a very funny story about that book. So I don't know if you remember this, but so you interviewed me a long time ago for that book.
Yeah.
It was such a long time ago.
I think it was like 2019.
It
was like pre-pandemic times.
Yeah, it was. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we sat down, had lunch, and you interviewed me about that, and you so you transcribed the whole conversation. And then
no, I know what you're going to say.
This is so good. I love it so. So just before the book went to print, Jamila sent me, just said, "Hey, this is your bit, just in case you want to read over it." And because it's Jamila, I thought, well, I don't really need to. Like, it's her writing's incredible.
You trust
fine.
her. Yeah.
And then I think you said I had a week to do it. And then about a week later, I just found myself in a cafe not doing much. I thought, oh, well, actually, I'm just interested. Not to check it, just I'm just interested. And I was reading through it, and it said, it was talking about my view on happiness, and it said, Hugh also referred to the even Ben model of happiness.
Yep.
And I was like, shit, the even Ben model of happiness.
And I can tell you, we had Googled, we couldn't find the model. We were like, it's this really obscure theory that's not on the internet.
But I went, oh, God, it was so long ago. I probably was talking about the even Ben. So then I looked it up and I was like, I can't find.
Yep.
My memory's not great, but the even Ben model of happiness. Anyway, I let it go for like a day. I was like, and then I was lying in bed one night, like literally like in a movie, and just sat bolt upright and went, oh, if and then. If she means if and then model of happiness.
It was a really loud cafe where we did the interview.
Yeah. It nearly made it to print. I pictured all these people going, oh, that's interesting. I'll look up the even Ben.
I love how much trust you've put in Hugh to just assume that he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. It got past the penguin fact checkers and psychologists. It got past a lot of people.
If you had to defend the even Ben model of happiness, what would that be?
Oh, even Ben's can do this. Even blokes called Ben could pull this off.
Yeah.
So anyway, I loved that so much.
Brilliant.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's very
Oh,
good.
don't be.
It was brilliant. I was very honoured that you would trust me and go, well, I don't care, guys.
Back him in.
He knows what
It's
he's
a
talking
thing.
about.
I believe it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's a Vulnerabilitea House. Jamila, you know how this works, I think.
do.
I'll explain it for people who may not. So we've got these cards, and on every card there is a question which might evoke some sort of vulnerable story or memory from your life, Jamila. And so if you pick 3 cards, read out the questions, and if one of those questions speaks to you in some way, then and you're comfortable, then tell us what you're thinking.
They're very pretty cards.
They're a new
thank
set.
you. They've got a sunset vibe.
They do. They're sort of accidentally, it looks like a tequila sunrise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my first thought.
Yeah.
I subbed out the tequila bit to be
Well, this is
respectful.
Don't mention alcohol.
Well, I was like, we're being vulnerable. It should be. Anyway.
Yeah, true. Well,
Keep
this
them
is our
separate,
second
yeah.
set. We had another set, and then just this year we've just released this second set. So it's pretty exciting. All new questions. Yeah, we love
Very
it.
exciting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what do
I
you-
just go?
Yeah. What have you got?
All right. What parts of life do you feel like you're missing out on?
Mm.
All right. What aspects of your identity have you held on to for too long?
Mm-hmm.
And if you could relive one moment in your life, what would it be? And how would you do it differently?
Oh, that is
I like that one.
they're all great questions. That
They're
is
all really good.
Mm.
Do you guys remember that game 2048 that went nuts for about a
No.
year? It was this like little maths game we used to like pull the tiles together.
Oh, yes, I do remember.
Everyone,
that.
there was a period where
yeah.
you would just walk down the street and everyone was playing this game because no one could get to 2048.
Yeah.
I got really close at a friend's wedding in Bali, and I just played it the whole wedding, the whole reception. And that's the moment of my life I would relive. And I would do nothing differently because I got there. So I won't do that one because that was too easy.
When you're 48, we'll link to that. I want to play that.
And I beat my husband, which is always the most important bit. I think I'll go the aspects of identity I've held on to for too long.
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Ready,
What does it?
set, go.
What does? What does it make you think about?
Well, I think there's a few ways for that I sort of think about it, but the first one is that when I got sick, which feels like 100 years ago now, but I was 31, I had a 2.5-year-old, I just got back from a book tour, life was good and busy and hectic, and being sick was the last thing I would have imagined. And I got this shock brain tumour diagnosis, and I think that immediate period I sort of justified it in my head for quite a while as, well, this is something that happened to you. It's really bad, but then it's done, and then we move on, right? I sort of thought about it as like one bad thing, as opposed to a change in who I was or a change in how my life would be.
Yeah.
And I remember being really cautious about how I talked about it publicly because I was like, I don't want to be the brain tumour girl. Like that, I really had this thing about it. And then tumour grew back. And then sort of 6 months turned into a year, and then tumour grew back again, and a year turned into 2 years, and then acquired so many different disabilities as a result that are always going to be with me. I think that's probably the thing that I held on to for too long. It was I really tried to hold on to the view of myself as an able-bodied, healthy person.
Oh, interesting.
Wow. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So you were so scared of like becoming this, as you say, like brain tumour girl. You're like trying to hold on to the pre version of you?
Yeah, I think so. Like I've read that there are a lot of people go through a similar thing, that if you go through it's something that happens in your life where your whole life takes a different course and it's a really shock event. Sometimes it can be the death of a sibling or something really significant happens to you, that you sort of hold on to that age. You get a bit stuck. And I think I got very stuck for, I don't know if I'm anymore, but I think I got very stuck for a really long time because I kept kind of resetting. My brain kept trying to figure out what life should have been and how to get to what I had decided life should have been. Like I've got to get back to the path I was on rather than accept this is too big a disruption for that to be possible anymore.
Looking back on that, if you can imagine like peak resisting the new identity, what does that do to your mental health when I can imagine it's a really like incredibly challenging thing to navigate, and the impact on your mental health would be quite severe, I would have thought.
Yeah. I was definitely, I think, unwell in a lot of ways during that period. I wonder what's harder sometimes if you have a great deal of loss all at once versus in drips and drabs, which for me it sort of was. So I have quite a rare kind of brain tumour. I still have it, still a bit in there. Called a craniopharyngioma. It's quite unusual. It's even more unusual for it to grow when you're an adult. You're born with it. Well, you're born with the cells that will become the tumour. And so it took me years to even meet someone who had the same thing. But I have this good friend now. She lives in the US, Caitlin. And when she found out, her tumour was much bigger and it was much more of a rush, get this thing out now or you're going to go blind kind of moment. And but she was about the same age as me when that happened to her. And she lost something like 11 different brain functions in the surgery, like that she never got them back again. She woke up and that was it.
Oh, God.
Whereas for me, that happened over about 4 years through different interventions. And yeah, we've talked about it a few times, like who had it worse? Is it like, is it harder to lose everything at once, but you go through that adjustment process once?
Yeah.
I just felt like I kept being punched in the gut. Like I did really start to get this like, I can't do another thing. Like I can't do another thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for people who haven't listened to the first episode, can you maybe remind us of some of the things that happened as a result of the surgery?
Yeah. So I had a couple of brain surgeries and then radiation. And since then I've been really fortunate and I've had no tumour growth since. And we, knock on wood, don't think it, we're hoping that's it.
Yeah.
But it, where my tumour grows, if you think about the brain, at the base of the brain is the pituitary gland, which is kind of like the orchestra conductor for your hormones. Like it tells the hormones where to go and how much of them and that kind of thing. And when you first hear that, I think your brain goes, oh, yeah, like estrogen and testosterone, right? Yes, those two are the pituitary is in charge of them, but it's also in charge of a whole bunch of others. So it dictates your cortisol. There's a hormone that balances how much water you hold in your body and dictates how thirsty you are, how much your kidneys are operating, making urine, how much you hold in your body to keep you hydrated. Your growth hormone is in there. We all still make growth hormone even beyond being kids when you make a lot of it. There's the breastfeeding hormones in there, prolactin. There's another one called progesterone. So there's a whole bunch of hormones in there. And my tumour grows off the part of the brain that connects to that. So essentially now there's just no blood supply. Like it's there, but it's just dead. It doesn't do anything. And so all of those functions are affected. And my tumour also affects my eyesight because that's where your optic nerve, like where the optic chiasm is, where the sort of the nerves that come out of both your eyes meet. And then just above is the hypothalamus, which does all sorts of stuff that I couldn't explain, but in part affects your metabolism, how hungry you are, how thirsty you are, and how quickly your body processes food and energy and things like that. So I also have effects there as well. It's just really annoying and complicated. Yeah. Like sometimes I wish it was just like, oh yeah, just this thing's wrong.
Yeah.
I wish there was a sentence, right?
Yeah. But how does it, I mean, sort of coming back to the identity question, who did you think you were as like an identity before the brain tumour? And then how would you describe yourself now? Or what do you feel comfortable saying, like who you are now, if it's different at all?
I don't think I was a hugely compassionate person before I was sick. That's a bit sad to admit.
Is that being hard on yourself? Or do you think
possibly, but I think it wasn't that I had no compassion. I certainly had some, but I think I was quite selfish, and I had really clear ideas of what I wanted and really clear ideas of what I was going after. And
ambitious,
I was always one of those kids who was like doing too many things and doing them. I used to get, school counsellors used to be like, if I could give you some advice, it would just be like slow down, like just enjoy the bit of life you're at. You don't have to do the next bit. Yeah.
I can't imagine that would go down with who I imagine you were at that age.
Yeah. And I was always just rushing at everything and I wanted to do everything. And I always had that frustration that you got one life and you couldn't fit all the stuff in. Like how devastating.
Like, even really young, you thinking about that. Yeah.
Wow. And I think as a result, I had quite high standards. And my first full-time job was working for Kevin Rudd when he was Prime Minister, who was he's not like cuddly teddy bear kind of boss, to put it lightly. And there's some pretty high standards when you work in that kind of environment. Like you're expected to be excellent.
So how old were you when you were doing that?
I got the job at 22.
How does that happen?
This is a tangent, but I have met Kevin. Do you remember this so long ago? When he first became PM, he held the 2020 summit.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Remember that? And he was like, I want to bring the brightest brains in the country.
Was it the ideas? The ideas summit? Yeah.
And then didn't really do any of the ideas. Anyway, I was at uni at the time and I was the student president at ANU and my vice chancellor nominated me and I got sent to the summit.
Right.
And there were like 1,000 people. Like it was, but I was the youngest. And so the media kept being like, oh, we're going to do a photo with the youngest and the oldest. So I spent a lot of time with Sir William Dean.
So you're sort of like one of the faces of the summit.
Yeah.
How old Sir William Dean?
At the time, he would have been in his 90s. He was former Governor General and judge on the High Court and much more important than me, who was like, oh, yeah, I'm doing contracts law at uni and getting drunk at the pub. I had less to contribute. But I did meet Kevin and he said, oh, you should come and see me for a job one day. And I was the kind of kid who took that quite seriously and called the office and somehow ended up with the job.
Was it you advised him? Did you advise him to roll up his sleeves on the first day of? Was that Kevin?
Oh, was it? I don't know.
Yeah, it was. I wasn't around then, but yeah, we're gonna have a.
I just remember Kevin 07, 2020, and down ball or something? Was that
Oh,
down ball? Or was that post?
No,
You
that
got
was
into down ball post.
yeah.
I
As
think
the comeback tour.
And that's not a Kevin thing. That is a general rule. Politicians, like when you go to a school, don't play sport with the kids.
Oh, yeah.
Don't throw things. Don't catch things.
Never goes well.
Don't, no.
unless you'd like to go viral for a bad reason.
There's no one who does it well.
Yeah.
Who
No.
tackled the kid? Was that Scott Morrison?
Yeah.
Who nailed a kid?
Yeah.
Anyway, there's been some
Has it ever
shockers, hasn't
been? You guys might know this because you guys are a you cricket fan?
My dad is, so
Okay.
enough. But you're about to talk about John Howard bowling
Yeah.
Well,
when he
has
was in.
The best thing I've ever seen.
But have we ever had a prime minister who is good at cricket?
Well, Bob Hawke was okay.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I think he got hit in the head while playing
Didn't
and had
hit
like
in the
blood.
face.
Got hit in the face and there's like footage of
Yeah,
him with
that's
blood
right.
coming off the field. But that kind of worked for his image.
He tried to play a hook shot, which is incredible.
Oh.
But he
Yeah.
attempted it. So
Yeah. So I think he was okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Anyway, that's not what we came here to talk about.
Right. Yeah.
Clip that up, George.
I'm feeling vulnerable.
It really connects to your vulnerability.
What are top 10 memories of Bob Hawke? So I'm so interested with that. You felt like you had less compassion and you were very kind of driven. And this is like before, when
Yeah.
you're younger. And I mean, it seems maybe obvious how you feel differently now, but I'd be interested to know how you feel about your identity and who you are as a person post going through what you've gone through with your brain tumor. And
Yeah. I think that's gone through some phases. It's a bit different now. Like it's been like I'm going to be 40 next year, and so you do have a couple of friends who get sick around that age. You know, it's still really unlucky and unusual, but it happens. But at 31, there's just not really.
yeah.
I just didn't have anyone to talk to, and I didn't really know anyone who'd gone through what I had, and I wasn't prepared for what that was like. Like I'd only ever been to hospital once, and that was to have a baby. Like I hadn't, I didn't really have like the idea of a surgery or what that would mean and what recovery looked like and how that would feel. I just thought I'd feel better sooner.
Gee, that's a it must be a lonely
Yeah,
feeling.
I think it was. I think lonely is probably the best description of that few years, because I kept losing more function, and it was also the pandemic, so I couldn't just like go into hospital all the time. So a lot of the time we were guessing at what was going on because they weren't doing a certain test during COVID, and so I think there was a really long period of wrestling with what were things going to get worse when I'm very much an optimist and I'm someone who's always in the headspace of it's going to be okay. And the evidence was very clearly the other way. And trying to figure out who I was supposed to be as a person who loved my work and really defined myself through my work when I couldn't do any. And it's always you can never know when something hasn't happened to you. There are hard things with every disease, but I think for me, someone who really prided myself on my brain.
Yeah.
And so the idea that it was my brain really, I think, messed with me.
Yeah.
That it was taking away the part of me that was valuable. Yeah.
Wow.
That's hard. I mean, that terrifies me as well. And I feel like I want to grab every bit of wood when I talk about this, but it's like, I've thought about that a lot over the years, where it's like, as far as like an identity thing, I think I see my like self-worth almost in like being able to come up with ideas and being able to like think about things and come up with funny ideas or different ideas or just try to think differently. If I wasn't able to do that, that terrifies me, the thought of that. And so really the main reason why I do any exercise or any sort of thing is for the brain.
Yeah.
Like that's sort of like, that's like what I'm trying to protect more than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I don't play footy. That's why I don't play soccer. Otherwise I'd be out there, every week, boys, I'd be loving it. But it's just like, it's like trying to protect the brain.
Yeah.
And so I can feel how hard that, I mean, I don't know how hard that would be, but I can sort of 1% understand a little bit.
Yeah. I think that was the thing that hit the hardest. But at the same time, I really did go through a period. It's almost hard talking about it because feels like it was a long time ago now, but it was probably around the time I spoke to Hugh and Josh for the podcast. I felt like I was just losing everything.
Yeah.
I'd found out I was told it would be near impossible for me to have more children, which I desperately wanted. I was so tired around that time. Like I could barely I would get up in the morning and I would work out because I knew I had to because of what was going on with me. Then I'd work from bed for most of the day because I couldn't really do much more. And I now know that I was missing really key hormones that we didn't know about, and that's why I had no energy at all. But I think I felt like I'd gained a lot of weight, and that I'm a girl who grew up in the early noughties, which is like that's when we peaked as a humanity at making women feel absolutely shit about their bodies.
Yeah.
And I grew up watching America's Next Top Model and all that sort of stuff, so that was not a great way for me to be. And then I had this, and my brain was playing tricks on me in so many different ways. I think I really felt like everything's being taken away, and not in a like this is unfair way. I think I'd moved past that after a couple of years, but more feeling a bit defeated. I think I got to the point of feeling kind of defeated.
It's like it's so heartbreaking, particularly for anyone, but even knowing that you from very young, obviously it was very ambitious, had all these things you wanted to do, and you just worried that you couldn't fit it all in. So then to be sort of basically stuck in bed without the energy to do all these things, I just can't even imagine the frustration and I don't know, anger.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, it was a bit of that. Yeah, I think I was quite ashamed of that anger. I took a lot of it out on my partner.
Well, that's an interesting thing to ask about, like the impact on a relationship. You guys have been together for a long time.
Yeah.
Does this kind of experience, what you've been through, does it strengthen the relationship ultimately, or have you found it to be just an enormous challenge for the relationship?
Oh, there's no question it's an enormous challenge. Like it's an enormous challenge for every relationship though. Like I think my relationship with my parents has changed, my relationship with my sister's changed. In some way, in many ways for the better. But it definitely changes every relationship you have. Jez was extraordinary, especially those like acutely ill periods. Like I know you've talked a bit about ADHD on the podcast the last little while, and Jez got a diagnosis about 3 years ago, I think, which makes a lot of sense. But we didn't know that at the time. But I think looking back, Jez went into like wild hyperfocus on my illness. Like
researching.
He watched the surgeries beforehand.
Wow.
Like he watched YouTube videos of 8 hours brain surgery. I remember him saying, "Do you want to watch? It might make you feel better." And I was like, "It will not. It will not make me feel better. That will not make me feel good at all." And Jez is a lawyer and he's always worked in the medical sort of space. So he's not medical, but he had a better understanding than the average person, I think. And we would go into hospital for appointments and he would just be able to rattle off these lists of what I'd been on and the complexity of what had been going on with me, and in ways I had no understanding of. Like I'm the person that goes, so this bit's like the conductor in the orchestra, Like he would be take the scientific approach, and so I think I was wildly dependent on him those first couple of years, and then I think the couple of years after were really tough on him because I know now in retrospect, I definitely developed an eating disorder. And I think that was really hard for him because he didn't understand. And he was trying so hard to understand. But I just don't think he could have, because he didn't really understand the feelings or the same pressures.
Yeah.
Not that he could understand what having a brain tumor was like, right? Like he didn't have one of them. But I do think eating disorders can often be quite gendered and the experience of them. And I think for him, like he just couldn't reach me.
It's hard to compare, obviously, but with a brain tumor, it's a very physical thing that has just been sprung on you, and it's like and it's very. They're both. There's obviously science to both, but I feel like an eating disorder, it feels like it's such a mental disorder. It's harder to watch a YouTube video about. It's harder to kind of get the facts on.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's right or not.
Yeah, maybe. I really think it was. As much as we have come a long way, I think we're still a society that values women for how they look, and still a society that puts a lot of pressure around thinness. Now there is, like, I don't want to suggest that there aren't men that feel enormous body pressures as well. There are, but I do think there is an overemphasis on women, and I think my partner is an athletic, slim guy who is in his 40s and can still eat whatever garbage he wants. Like, I just don't think he got it, how much of it was wrapped up in my self-belief and my sense of, to your card, my sense of identity, I suppose. Like I had an identity as being someone who looked a certain way and I'd lost that. And I think he really was like, but I'm telling you, I like how you look and that I love you. Isn't that enough? And I think the really crude answer is probably wasn't enough.
Was it something that you kind of worried about, like whether he won't be attracted to you?
Oh yeah, that was all I was. I thought he was lying when he would say that. For years, I thought he was lying. I've settled into a bit more trust now.
Yeah,
but and I can't imagine how hard that would have been for him, because what's he supposed to do? Like, I can only keep telling you. I can only keep telling you the truth, but I can't make you believe me. I think so. I do think it really affected us.
As you said earlier, you put so much, and maybe you still do, I think there's a question in this as well, but so much emphasis on your value as your brain and what your brain can do. What was it like to fall into an eating disorder?
Yeah, it's always hard to talk about it because I say eating disorder now because that's what psychologist says. Yeah. But that's not what I thought what was happening. So I have a condition called hypothalamic obesity, which means that my hypothalamus doesn't work properly. And so when it essentially gives you ferocious hunger, like you cannot be satiated. I remember Jez and I, before we sort of knew what was going on, we went out to dinner after my craniotomy. It was would have been 12 or 13 weeks to kind of be like, we're through the formal recovery. And we had this degustation at this fancy Melbourne restaurant. Like I'm doing like those ones where like by the end you're like, I can't breathe because I've got no room in me.
Yeah, bring out the funnel.
Yeah, it was like 12 courses or something. Yeah. Anyway, we did, and it was a proper celebration. And we got home that night and I went to the pantry and was like, do you want a snack? And Jez was like, but like physically how? Yeah. But the way my body was dealing with food meant that I was starving again. But that your body would also, it's not just about how much you eat, it's also about how your body then deals with that food. And essentially your body thinks you're starving, so it stores everything. That plus steroids does make for easy times. And I dealt with that by just not eating. Like that's the simplest, like eating so incredibly little.
Wow.
And yet at the same time having a brain that was saying that would never give me rest because I was so hungry.
It's so confusing.
Yeah. The stories from like people who have kids with this tumour who like bolt their fridges at night and stuff because they've got no choice because their kids will eat themselves to death. Like it's really hard to. I think I was hangry for 4 years.
Yeah.
But I think because I developed this way of eating that. So I gained about 30% of my body weight within a year. And then all the doctors were telling me that was good. Like a lot of people triple their body weight. Like you're a good outcome. You shouldn't be beating yourself up. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like this does not feel like a good outcome. And the only way I got any control out of it is not eating.
Yeah.
This is not a good way to be. But I think I really convinced myself that I was just doing what I had to. Like when people raised the way you're eating is disordered, I'd be like, yeah, but I'm doing it because I have to.
Yeah.
This is a physical I was very insistent. This is a physical condition. I am doing what is required to manage it. And I think, and I don't say this as a criticism, but I think a lot of my doctors were really supportive because they knew what the consequences could be, like that I could make myself quite sick. So they were sort of almost not encouraging it, but praising it. And so I was like, see, the doctors said that's what I should do. So that's what I should. So it is what I should do.
Of course, yeah.
And look how impressive I am for being able to do it.
Yeah, because I'm managing it. Yeah. And I think, that goes to identity about your brain, right? Like I was like, because I've got amazing willpower and I'm like, when really I was just a different kind of sick at the same time, right? Like I think I just starved my way into an eating disorder.
Yeah. I mean, I sort of bring this up because I've always... For people wouldn't know this, but when we recorded last time, we filmed, and we had images and stuff, and we always send the stuff that we have to guests to say we're going to put this up, anything you're not happy with, and you didn't want the images to go up. And it was a real surprise to all of us, but that must have been, that must have been, it was right in the middle of this, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That this was going on. So it must have been so hard to see, to want to still function in the world, but also then have this, to not like the way you're appearing while you do it. That's difficult.
Yeah, and I think it meant a lot to me I think that was the first time I felt like I was really talking about how hard it had been being sick rather than doing the kind of brave face, everything's all right.
Yeah.
And I came home feeling quite proud that I felt like I've been honest, that's going to help someone else who's in the middle of it. And it was amazing how quickly, I think when you have that disordered eating and sense of body dysmorphia, your memory can be ruined by information that comes later about how you looked while that was happening. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I could go to a party and have a really great time and then see photos of it, and all my memories of that night were then terrible.
Yeah.
Because it was awful. Because people must have been thinking this or that, and like none of that's true. It's all made up, right? It's all in your head.
Yeah.
But I think it was a similar thing. I was so like, oh no, this is going to ruin this sense of like, oh no, I did something that might be useful to people.
Yeah.
Which is completely illogical. But
No, but I get
remember
it.
that's how that's how it felt.
I have a very minute, I have a holiday I went on when I was really young with my mates, and there's a photo that I always remember because I look at it and go like, whoa, you looked really bad.
Yeah.
And it kind of like it tarnishes the past.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry that I'm sure it wasn't the only time, but I'm so sorry because I have such fond memories of that episode and chatting to you and meeting you, and so many people have been moved by that. It's really sad to think that it was hopefully temporarily tarnished by that.
No, I think it was temporary because and it feels like almost insubstantial, like there's vanity, there's so much vanity in that. And I think when you have been really sick, there is such a narrative of grateful to be alive and I'm just lucky to be here, and those kinds of narratives that are put on you by the people around you. And I remember feeling like, why can't I just be happy to be here? What is wrong with me that this is what bothers me? Like I felt really like vain, a bit pathetic, insubstantial, like what, I should be just proud of, what I've accomplished or that I'm still here or whatever it might be. But it really, like I would say until the last couple of years, like really held true as the thing that bothered me the most. And there's a lot of other stuff. So like it's not, it shouldn't be the biggest thing, but it was the biggest thing.
How dark and how, I don't know if there's a way of a scale, but how bad did it get for you, the eating disorder and the want to control
it? Yeah, I don't know if there's a scale either, but like real bad.
Yeah.
Feels like the easiest way. It's a dangerous space, right? Because I'm so conscious of not speaking in detail when you're talking about eating disorders. It's the same when you speak about suicide, right? You want to be so cautious for whoever is listening. I think the simplest way to say it is if you can think of something people might do to try and make their bodies smaller, I did it.
Okay.
Including things that were very dangerous for me. And even when it was only a couple of years ago, I think I had where I felt like I had really started to improve and get better and was a fair way past it. I had a period where I sort of fell back into just like intense, urgent desperation is the only way I can describe it. Like this sense of like, I have to fix this and I have to fix this today. Like I can't I've lived like this anymore. I can't, like it's got, and it really did sort of sneaked up on me. And I was Googling all sorts of stuff, and I don't know if any of you heard of fat freezing?
No.
No.
So this is, there are beauty clinics and, places that are all about helping you look a certain way and the like. And there is one on the high street not too far from where I live, and I had seen it before and I went in and that day just booked all these appointments, and with no medical information. Like I didn't lie, but she didn't ask kind of thing.
And is this like an operation or is it?
It's what it sounds like. So I'm not going to be able to explain the science, but I think there's a certain temperature that supposedly that fat cells can't survive at.
Oh,
right.
Right.
Again, guys, who knows if any of this is true?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This is what I was convinced of, and so I went to this clinic on the first appointment day, and
Did Jez know?
no, I didn't tell anybody. I only told this weird lady in the clinic. Kept talking about like the fat around your hips and calling the love handles lovies, which really should have told me. That should have been the
That's
red
the warning
flag.
sign.
I should have gone, mate, you should not be here.
Did she ask any questions about your condition or like medical history or anything like that?
No, not really.
Okay.
There were so few questions. Like, and it was not even like, why are you here? Like it was almost like it was assumed.
Yeah.
Like, well, you're here because none of us are good enough,
Yeah.
and we're all gonna fix ourselselves. Like that was the
like going to a cinema and them saying, "So why are you here?"
yeah. What are you here for today?
Obvious.
Yeah. And so I went and it was this like she drew all over me in texter and like circled and put crosses all through the parts of me that were too fat. Apparently, I thought that too, so I shouldn't be critical of her. And we started with like the love handles, I suppose, like around your hips, and it was like I don't know, like the best way I can. It felt like it was a freezing cold vacuum cleaner. It felt like you just got. Trying to do it with my hands, it's not working for a podcast. Like I felt like I got sucked into this thing, and then it was intensely painful, and then it was like you got frozen. Like that's all. It just got colder and colder, and it took about an hour maybe.
Is it intrusive or is it?
No, it's not intrusive, so it's external, but like they've sort of been pulled into a machine, I suppose. So, and then it was really painful. Like I remember listening to I was on the Calm app, I think, just being like, I've just got to take my brain somewhere else. And like I don't have a low pain threshold. Like I am quite used to painful things. I've had a lot of them. And it was really intensely painful. And I remember when she came in to say like, we're done, I was like, thank God. Like, and she sort of took me out of the machine and like, you know that feeling of like when you take an ice cube out of the freezer and you've touched the ice cube and you can feel the surface of it has started to melt under your fingers, but it's still frozen?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what my body felt like.
Whoa.
Like that's what my hips were. It was like an ice block, and like it didn't feel like flesh. It felt like an ice block, and the top was starting to melt. And she was like, "Oh yeah, now we sort of warm you up, and this can be a bit painful."
Oh,
and
now it gets painful.
Yeah, and firstly, it was horrifically painful, but I could feel my blood pressure dropping, and I was like, "Oh, I must be panicking. I'm having a stress response that's got something to do with the cortisol." But also your hypothalamus also impacts your body temperature. Like I don't regulate my body temperature very well. And I was like, I'm not going to, like I just had this like all the different medical things running through my head being like, and I just went into I was like, nobody knows I'm here.
God.
Like I told work I was at an appointment, but I didn't say what. I told like my son was at after school care. Jez didn't. I was just doing that thing of like, I really did have one of those like, I'm going to die in the fat freezing clinic. I was sheer panic, and I was like, I can't communicate to this person who is not medical the severity of what is going on. And I was doing that thing like, at what point do I say to her, call an ambulance? And I think I was getting quite close when clearly my body kicked in and did start getting warmer again. Because I went from just feeling absolutely freezing and being in pain and feeling dizzy. And so I ended up being okay enough. I freaked her out a bit. But I ended up being okay enough that I drove home because it was only, 5 minutes or something. I remember Jez got home that night and he picked Ruffy up from after school care and he was like, what's wrong? And I was like, I don't want to talk about it. Well, I'll talk to you about it when he's in bed. This is a problem with older children. They understand what you're talking about. You have to wait all the time.
And after bed is a lot later.
Yes, yeah. And I told Jez and he was like, okay. And I was like, I think I need to have a shower. I'm still so cold. And like it was still hard. Like my body was still
like frozen.
Yeah, it was frozen. That's like, it's like it's like when you take meat out of the freezer and the outside's defrosted and the inside hasn't. That's like where I was by then.
Did you, sorry just to cut in, but, and I know you said it was sort of like a desperation, which is what took you there, but did you do any kind of research before? No.
And I'm not that person.
You don't seem like that.
Yeah, you don't seem like that person.
No, I'm just not. I can be quite impulsive, but I'm not. Yeah, I'm quite cautious, especially with anything physical. Like I'm quite careful and like I'm not a physical risk taker. I'm a risk taker in other ways, but not physically. But
I think everything you've said, it just speaks to how it proves how desperate you must have felt in the thick of that eating disorder.
Yeah. And in eating disorder therapy, I think they often teach you to like talk about the eating disorder as almost like a person. Like that did that to me.
Yeah, I was about to say it doesn't sound like you. It sounds like it's someone else. Yeah.
And actually my husband was amazing. He was just like, I remember he just kept saying, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you felt like you had to do that. I'm so sorry. And then he went all sciencey and he was like, we don't need to worry. Everything is fine. Like this is not dangerous. You're now okay kind of thing. But yeah, I remember thinking he was going to be really mad at me. Like, how could you be so stupid? Why wouldn't you tell me? But he was not at all. He was just so sad. Like, I think we were both just so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really, it's like the difference between like your partner being on your team versus judging.
Yeah.
It's always the better option to be on their team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes you so terrified that there are so many of these.
Oh, there's way more
options.
intrusive stuff than that too.
Yeah.
I have a lot of mixed feelings, I think, about that. Not just that, but even in the medical space now that all the semaglutide drugs and the Ozempics and the, the stuff are on the market, like, and like I had the doctors put me on Ozempic and things like that. And it did make it easier when I was eating so little to eat less. It didn't do anything after that because it couldn't fix what was broken in my brain. It was doing something else, but it did make it easier for a while. But I feel a bit more like myself now because I'm on the next generation stuff that is not necessarily easily to get. You can't get it on the market kind of stuff, like next generation versions of those drugs that like they are getting to the stuff that will work on my part of the brain because it's financially beneficial to the pharmaceutical companies in a way that no one was making drugs for me before because why would you? There's not enough of us. But now if you can get funding through people like me to do the research and you come up with the next generation of weight loss drug, and there's part of me that's so happy that I've ed these drugs that mean that like I can eat ice cream again, but like I can eat a bit more, be a bit more myself and do the joyful parts of food, food is so joyful. I can't tell you how left out and lonely I felt not eating. Like I really... Like you're not part of Christmas in the same way and you're not part – like you just –
Yeah.
I took my son for an ice cream after I come onto these newer drugs that they've had me on that have been really helpful. Took him for an ice cream in January in summer and down the beach and he was just staring at me. And I was like, what? And he was like, you are having an ice cream. And I just had this like, oh, yeah, my then 9-year-old doesn't remember seeing me eat. Like because last time I'd had an ice cream, he would have been 2. And that's not – it's not about the food, it's about the joy of the sharing. So, I feel a bit odd about the fact that I'm taking advantage of that research and benefiting from it now and living a much more easier life, mostly because I can eat stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't love what it says about the world and what we're doing to people.
Yeah.
Just out of interest, not that it matters, but what flavour ice cream did you go for?
Oh, that's a really good question. It was actually, I did a thing people don't like, which is I mixed a creamy with a sorbet.
I'm a big one. I love it.
Yeah, I knew. Someone wasn't
stamp
gonna
of
like
approval from me.
Yeah, it's okay.
My wife criticises me every time I do it.
So what exactly
but then
was
you get,
that?
it's like having 2 desserts.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why
Just
wouldn't
2
you?
different
So like a
flavours.
lemon sorbet?
You got a tiny period during the transition, which is a bit like it doesn't quite go together, but that's okay. I had like a chocolate type one,
like sorbet?
not a gelato, like a proper creamy chocolate vibe, and then like a blood orange gelato. Oh, so good.
Ooh,
interesting.
Good.
Yeah, that's
And
already
and
is
orange go
chocolate
together.
orange is a thing.
Like it's
that sounds
I'll have
good.
like coffee, but lemon sorbet on top, and I get like really. But I'm like, it's 2
even
different
I'm a bit
flavours.
judgmental.
Okay.
No,
Forget it. No,
I
we
may
can cut
take-
that out.
I
We
think
can
I
cut
take
that out.
everything I just said back.
That's wrong.
Josh,
That's
I'm not
wrong.
like you.
We're not on the same team.
All right, please cut that out. From what you've said, it does sound like the drugs have played a part, but how have you been able to change your own mindset about your body?
Therapy.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so I got sent to a dietitian who was very good and helpful, but for what was very much a dietitian doing what a dietitian does, which is talk to you about nutrition and how do we make sure if you're eating very little you get enough of it, which is really important. Like you need that, but it's probably not what I needed. And I think for me the change was I got referred to a dietitian who was a health at any size trained counsellor as well.
And a health at any size trainer.
So coming to the idea of we have a lot of views, I think, about the idea of how healthy you can be in a bigger body and what's possible. And a lot of them are just not true, right? Like there is actually not the same correlation that a lot of us think there is. You can be extremely healthy in a bigger body. The BMI is, I'm sure you know, BMI is just bullshit in so many ways. And so she was someone who was coming to the table with a view of, my job is to be your dietitian to make sure we keep you as well as possible, but that doesn't have to look like weight loss or keeping you at the same weight.
But how this is when you're in the midst of still this eating disorder.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is like, did you care about health if like your body wasn't going to change? Like, yeah, that's all well and good that you can make me healthy in a bigger body, but I don't want the bigger body.
No, and I think that's why she was so good.
Yeah.
Because I think her counselling expertise and I think I often felt I could out-intellectualise people on that topic because it was something I was interested in.
Yeah.
And I couldn't. She was brilliant and is brilliant and did a whole lot of work, which was like I don't think she talked about what I ate for the first 6 months. Like dietitians, that's what you do, right? You start talking about what yogurt you should eat. That's step one. And I remember being like, when's she going to ask about yogurt? Like she didn't want to talk about food. She just wanted, it was completely different.
Wow.
It was so much about my relationship with food and really unpicking all these beliefs. And she kept saying to me, you have this view of the world that this is not what's important. You believe in the health at any size movement and you think it applies to everyone except you.
Yeah.
And so we've got to figure out why you don't think it applies to you. Yeah. It was enormously helpful. And I think for me, probably when I saw that question about identity, she was, I think, a real breakthrough for me of realizing so much of this is about the story that I'm telling myself and the narrative that I have put on this. And we all put narratives on our lives and we say things happen for a reason or this was the pathway. I think she was very helpful in helping me to ask some questions about the narrative and the way we tell stories and the stories that you believe about yourself, right? The stories you think are true, the lens you put on the childhood memories that go, oh, because that means I'm like this.
It makes so much sense because it's, to have someone who truly understands who you are, what your background is, what your beliefs are, and then build a plan around that.
Yeah.
Like that's what we should all probably have, but that's incredible that you had that.
Yeah, no, she was I think like quite transformative. And really, I think really helped me with that idea of the way the narrative, I'm not going to be as eloquent as her, but like the way the narrative of your life looks depends on where you start it and where you end it and what viewpoint you choose to take on it. And she was like, we tell the story of you, she said, your life, you're really telling this story of like my life was interrupted. Like good life, shit things happen, everything falls apart. Like she said, that is the narrative.
Yeah.
She was like, we can shift that if we wanted. We could tell that story differently.
Oh.
We could tell it in and again, I'm not trying to be all silver linings. Like having a brain tumour is rubbish. Don't do it. If you can possibly avoid it, don't do it. I'm not saying it wasn't rubbish, but I think about the people I wouldn't have met. I think about the opportunities in terms of writing the book and meeting people off the back of that. I've met 8 people with the same tumour. We are 1 in every 1.5 million people, and I know 8 of us now because they came out of the woodwork in the book tour. It's been extraordinary, and you don't get that without it. And it sort of just depends where you tell this. And you guys really got me in the middle of the grief story, I think. And so part of me, I think, was so excited to come back to sort of say that doesn't have to be the end point. You can choose where you're going to put that spin on the story and where the tragedy is. Because I mean, I was born with those cells as a kid, right? Like if you told the story differently, you could say how imagine if we knew that as the narrator of the story from day one.
Yeah.
And we go, imagine what her life would have been if that grew when she was 3. Imagine being a kid having your growth hormone interrupted and all of those. Like, so much harder on a child's body, so much more likely to die. And for me, I got 31 years without it. Like, if you tell the story that way, it's a triumph to have gone so long. Like, I think she really helped me put new perspective on things.
It's amazing. Like, it makes me think. We've had. I think there's a question in the previous deck, and I'm pretty sure Grace Tame answered it when she was in. But it's like, essentially, what would you tell your younger self? But I'm interested to know, like, what would you tell your last episode self? Like, when you were here last?
Probably to hold on, I think. Yeah, probably to hold on. I had this belief that my value in the world was like irrevocably damaged. Like, I was all these things, like this collection of, let's say, like 30 good things about me, a whole lot of bad things too, but like 30 good things about me that made me worthwhile, and more than half of them are gone. So like, what do I even do with that? And I don't think I had contemplated that there were new things that could come in. Like, that there were good things that could come from it. But I remember my friend Claire Bowditch, who you've had on the podcast, the day I got the diagnosis, she showed up at my house with she wanted to bring gifts, but it was like 5 p.m. and there was no gifts to buy. So she just went to Peter Monty's, which is like this supermarket in North Fitzroy, and just bought what they had, including the world's ugliest flowers and all this random food. Like, not gift food, just weird food. I was like, what do I do with this stuff?
I don't know. Upstairs at Peter Monty's, there's some pretty good stuff.
Yeah. She didn't buy that.
Yeah.
She bought other stuff. She was amazing. But I remember we went for a walk and she said, this will be the making of you. And she said, you don't know it, but there's so much good that's going to come out of this. And I remember just being like, you're a crazy person. And kept moving. But there was good stuff.
Do you feel that? Do you feel that it's been the making of you?
Yeah. Yeah. I do. I'm not to say that I still don't know if I wouldn't take it back.
That's an interesting question that you often hear people say, and you wonder, is that something you're telling yourself to help you get through this and be okay with this and accept it? I was listening to someone the other day who'd been through an awful shark attack say, I love this has happened to me. And I thought, gosh, I wonder if that's...
Yeah, I'm not that far.
Yeah.
I think that's too evolved.
I completely understand.
I think you've forgotten some bad stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I completely understand people saying that from the point of view of maybe that's part of the acceptance and trying to really claim the narrative and own the narrative and say it over and over and again until it feels. Yeah. But I often wonder when stuff like that happens, do you... Yeah, so it's interesting that you feel probably right now, probably not. You like to...
Yeah, I don't know. I really understand that inclination to go, I'm creating this self-narrative for myself. Like, I'm writing this story in a way where this is a good thing. Like, the end of the story is not the tragedy, it's something else, which means that the happy ending didn't happen without this stuff. So this has to be a good thing, therefore, because I've learned things from it and I've gained things from it. I really get that. I just think there has to be a way where we can have that without diminishing how hard stuff is, and that when things are hard, it is shit. And I'd love to say, report back that I am now this deeply evolved person who, if I got told it was growing again tomorrow, would be much calmer and face it with grace. I wouldn't. I'd be the same bratty, complaining, walk down the street, wish it was someone else with the tumour, which I have done. I'd be the same. I'd still be that. I think. But my sister has a 15-month-old little boy who is divine, and so he's the second grandchild, and he's 9 and a bit years younger than my son. For my parents, so it's like having a first grandchild all over again. They're so excited. And Chester was born with hearing loss, which was very unexpected. There's no hearing loss in either family, and was a real shock for my sister and her partner, and because they didn't really have a frame of reference because they deafness isn't in the family, and they were like, what do we do? How do you raise it? I don't even know. What happens next? And I remember thinking, I was in the States when they got the diagnosis and they found out. My sister called me. It was early in the morning where I was, and I remember getting off the phone and dealing with this shock and working about what we're going to do next and things, but also just going, I'm so much better equipped to support her. Like there's no way I could be this well equipped to support her without what's happened to me. Does that make it worth it? No, but helpful in the moment. And it is like, you know, what we were able to talk about what that will mean for the family in a way that was just not all negative, that had optimism and joy and hope and pride in that gorgeous little boy, you know, who is like almost old enough now that, you know, when stuff's happening that he doesn't like, he can just yank his hearing aids out and be like, no, subbing out. Like, what? It's going to be great. When he's 14, he'll be just like, shut up, mum. I'm done. I'm not involved.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we're all learning Auslan, and like I don't think we should be afraid of the good bits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Early on when you were talking about this, you mentioned your brain, and I thought the choice of word of saying what made me valuable was really interesting. Do you still feel like your brain is the thing that makes you valuable the way you did before this tumour?
Yeah, but probably in maybe a slightly different way.
Okay.
The thing that's hardest for me is the memory loss in that space, just because, like, you know, if for example I didn't, but if I'd sat down and gone, oh, there's 10 things I want to say today, I wouldn't be able to remember one of them.
Yeah.
Like we'd start talking and my brain would go, what? Like if you prompted me, it'd come.
Yeah.
But I can't remember it off the cuff. And like if we're a collection of our memories, I get really anxious about the fact that I don't have them.
Yeah.
Like, and they're in there, but I can't recall them. Like other people can tell me about them, but I can't recall them quickly.
Yeah, that is.
And that does
terrifying.
mess with your sense of self.
Yeah.
Do you journal?
Yeah. And I'm an obsessive note taker.
I bet.
The number of times, you know, sometimes you go to those meetings or you'll go to like a seminar or something and the person will say, I'll send everything at the end. No one needs to take notes. And I'm like, yeah, but I do. And then she's like, no, but I'm going to send you everything at the end. And I'm like, I don't care. Like I still have to, like I will take notes in meetings where you don't need to take notes. And like I've got a great team at Future Women who are extraordinary and do so much work to catch me in the workplace and things like that, which is like deep generosity, and I still don't know. Like it's a for me thing, I think, more than anything. Like, there's a crutch to it.
Yeah.
Do you get, because I imagine the thing that would be tricky is like, you know, when you develop like an in-joke with someone or like something funny happens on a night out and then the next day it's like, hey, remember watermelons or whatever, and you're like, I don't remember watermelons.
Yeah.
That I feel like that happens to me, so I can imagine that would be really tricky.
And it is just it's a hard one to communicate to people, I think, because they kind of go, oh, well, you seem fine. Like, you know, like you're still working and doing your thing. Like it's not memory loss to the point that you can't function the way you used to. Or people go, oh, I forget things all the time. And we do. People forget things. That's what human beings do. And it's that thing of kind of going, yes, this is like, it's a jump forward. It's a bit, it's more significant. And it's been interesting working with my husband around like trying to work for him to work through this ADHD diagnosis and all the grief and communication around that, the number of mostly boomers that he's mentioned it to who then go, oh yeah, but everyone forgets things. And he's like, or everyone does that sometimes. And we've gotten to the point I'm like, it's true. But for you, those things happen far more often in a far more intense way. That's the difference. It does happen. All those things happen to everyone. I've experienced all the things you've just mentioned, but not in a way that is constant and chronic and you cannot get it. And that is a totally different experience. It's a totally different experience. It's way harder.
And I guess also for you, it's a line in the sand moment where it changed. Whereas for most people, you grow to learn. Like I'd say I have a worse than average memory, but I've like, it's always been there. Yeah. And it's probably getting slightly worse every year. Yeah. As opposed to a point where I used to be able to do something and now I can't. Yes. Yeah.
And having said that, I think especially the last 18 months probably, like I have really pushed myself to do things that I told myself I couldn't do anymore. And they're not all possible.
Like what? What's
So I don't make cortisol, which is like you die without cortisol. So I take a tablet form of cortisol. Cortisol's like the stress, people call it the stress hormone. And there's all the TikTok videos about like how to minimize your cortisol. And I'm like, guys, you don't want too little. It's not good either, which is my experience. But so for all of you, if you go through a period of prolonged stress or something awful happens, like a car accident or something, or you have to run a marathon or whatever, like your cortisol will come up to get you through that and come down again, like it's connected to your adrenaline and the like. Whereas for me, I take a tablet. So the tablet can't come up and down. I have to go through the mental exercise of, am I going to experience stress today? Am I experiencing stress? Do I need to take more?
Oh, wow.
So you're sort of titrating to your own experience. And you don't want to take too much because it's not steroids. It's not great for you to be on steroids, and I'm going to be on my whole life. So I've got to be cautious. So there are a whole lot of things that mean that they sort of advise not to do, to be cautious there, because if you don't have enough cortisol, it becomes a medical emergency quite quickly. One of them was going overseas on a big, like being a long, New Zealand doesn't count, but like being a long way from the Australian medical system, changing time zones, like was really anxious because the stress of a time zone change on your body is really significant.
Yeah.
And doing that away from my doctors, away from help. And I have gone into an adrenal crisis a few times, so I know what it is, and it's a terrifying process, mostly for the people around you. But yeah, the whole family went to the States last year, and I flew business and no one else did because I had to go to sleep. But my son, he was like, what? He was very unimpressed. But that was amazing. Like we had to do it slightly differently. Like we needed more days for me to adjust to the new time zone. We flew into LA. We did a few days there before we went. We tried to slow it down and graduate the time zone changes. But I did it. I started playing tennis again last year, and it means everything being able to do that again.
Yeah.
Can you explain what adrenal crisis is and what it feels like? What happens?
Yeah. So. I always get nervous I'll do it badly, and some doctors listening going, no, because that's what my husband would be thinking. But if you think about like a stressful event in your life, like I'm talking like an immediate, deeply stressful event, like you were in an accident of some kind, your body would just get pumped full of adrenaline, right? That's what keeps you going during those really intense times, even if you're badly hurt or something quite intense is going on. After that immediacy, your cortisol also spikes, and your cortisol will kind of bring you down gently. So it spikes from its level, and then it's almost like, I think of it like it bring you down like on a sort of a flat slippery dip rather than a really steep one. It brings you down gently again. So for me, if that happens and my adrenaline's high and my adrenaline goes, there's nothing to meet it, right? There's no cortisol that's gone up to meet it. And so it's like it just drops off a cliff. So the experience for me is my blood pressure plummets. So you get very, very dizzy, and you start to feel quite nauseous. And like you can't concentrate and focus on things. And then for me, I then get a sore lower back because that's where your adrenal glands and your kidneys and stuff, like all of that's there. So you start to get a sore lower back. First time I had an adrenal crisis, I booked a physio because I thought I'd done something to my back. And then I get very tired and can't, because with your blood, when your blood pressure's low, it has to work harder when you're standing. So lying down or sitting is better. So I tend to start doing that. And then you start to get a bit disorientated. And then eventually you faint, and you keep coming to and fainting, and then you die. And we joyfully, particularly for my husband, who's really getting a great run this episode, joyfully for him, for me, that sense of confusion that comes because your blood pressure is so low and you can't think straight seems to manifest as me telling everyone I'm fine and that we don't need to go to a hospital and everyone's being stupid. And so poor Jez is just like, no, we're going to the hospital. And then I'm at the hospital going, why are we here? This is ridiculous. Let's just go home. And he's like, oh, no, we're staying here. So we've had some of our biggest arguments in the middle of an adrenal crisis with me being like, this is stupid. Yeah,
wow.
It's just not great.
Yeah.
Gee, good husband.
Yeah, poor guy.
Do you feel proud of the person you are, that you have become?
That feels too holistic to me, I think. I think I'm proud of different bits along the way. I'm not proud of all of it. Yeah. No, because I have not been the perfect sick person. I have not been the perfect patient. I have not been, I've definitely been the angry, raging, this isn't fair, I hate everyone patient, possibly for longer than you should be. But I'm proud of how okay my little boy is. I feel like we all did that. Yeah. Like my whole family, my partner and I, we really buckled down around making sure he was okay. And kids are kids, they're never actually okay. But there's always, like
Yeah,
you're always worried about something. But, for the most part, he's a really clever, compassionate, happy kid. And that feels like a triumph.
That's a great thing to be proud of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old is he?
He's 10.
Oof.
He's monstrously grown up now. Yeah.
Gosh, that's happened quick.
Yeah. Really has.
Took about 10 years.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, almost exactly.
Yeah, only 10 years.
He's extraordinary. And, I think in that silver lining category, he was aged 2.5 to 4.5. He's probably one of the rare 2.5 to 4.5-year-olds who was not the main focus of his parents for 2 years, those 2 years. Like most kids when they're that age, even if they've got older siblings, the little one is the one you're like, yeah, you're the one that's going to run in front of a car. You get most of the attention, right? And he just didn't. Like he lived a life of you need to be quiet because mummy's resting and you're going to go to this grandmother now and you're this grandfather now and then this auntie's going to do this and you need to do this because mum needs this and like he was not the household's priority. He was priority 2 for 2 years and I have some guilt about that, but I also think like he's got extraordinary empathy because of that because he's a kid who's the first question he asks about people are they okay? Oh. And how do they feel and how because that's how he's we didn't mean to teach that but
that must be such a relief. Oh, I don't know if relief's the right word, but because I think we've spoken about it. I've certainly spoken about it with my wife. Mum guilt is huge. And I can't imagine the amount of guilt that you felt during that time, and to see the boy he's turning out to be must just feel such a, I don't know, hopefully it eases some of the guilt.
Yeah, I think I think the guilt transformed into a sense of more like loss. Like I missed a lot of that.
Yeah, that's
because I was thinking about myself. I had to be.
And rightfully so, yeah.
But I feel like I missed things.
Yeah.
But I think you can't grieve about that forever.
No. And not all things about 3-year-olds are good.
Yeah. There are some things that was probably okay that I missed.
Yes, great.
Skipped through a few of those.
Yeah.
I can't change that nappy. I'm so sorry. I need to rest.
But I do feel like I'm making up for lost time.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
I feel like this will obviously help so many people who have been through something similar, but I actually feel like this episode will be broader than that. And I feel like for anyone whose life hasn't turned out the way that they probably thought it was going to, I think this conversation is so incredibly powerful. So, Jam, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
No worries.
Thanks. Enjoyed this week's episode but want a little more? Then you might want to know that we have a brand new show called A Little More Imperfects over on Patreon. For a little bit of money, you'll get access to bonus episodes with the 3 of us every fortnight, early access to live events, plus other things that we haven't thought of yet, but when we do think of them, you'll get them. Visit patreon.com/theimperfects.